Well, I just did a video about me wanting to, one of these days, by the time I retire, which I only have 5 years from now, to be listed as, I will officially be a retiree in 5 years from now. Right now, I'm in a situation where I got to go out and work and find a job and all like that. I just did a video about wanting to move to Oahu, and the more I watch video footage of Hawaii, one thing that bothers me. Now, I'm a conservative. I love white people. Here in the States, I defend white people. I constantly am fighting against, like a black person. If a black person says something about the white man to me, I just go quiet. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Do you know that white man? Okay, which white man are you talking about? They're not all the same. You just blankly say white people. Like, what white people are you talking about? Like that. This and it's bad enough that Hawaii is segregated. Like, the Asians keep to themselves. The Hawaiians, you never see them. They hide. You never see them. They're there, but they don't want to be they don't want to be in sight. They don't. And I don't know. I mean, like, if I went to watch this rodeo, and I don't know, did any Asian people or Hawaiian people go to watch this rodeo right here? Like, what's going on with Hawaii where it's becoming more pro-white? Now, I watched all day, all night last night, all the way up until this afternoon. Falling asleep and waking back up, watching all these videos on Oahu, especially, Honolulu and Waikiki. And I seen a little bit of the Big Island of Hawaii, and there was a guy. He was white, and I don't know if he lives in Hawaii or whatever, but he has a channel about Hawaii, and different guy. He drove on this road, and he's playing country music on it, and the comment section's going wild about his country music, and that. I don't mind a little bit of country music, but the name of the country is Hawaii. And I did a video on this channel a while back. There's a place called Orlando. Or no, Orania, I think it's called. In Africa. And these white people took over this place called Orania. And it's white folks only. There's no African people allowed in there. They're not allowed in there. And so they're building their own everything. They have their own water. They grow their own food. They just, and you're only allowed white people in there. And so when I question some people about it, I was able to get some people to respond to my comment, and they were like, these people are several generations of white people in Hawaii who just want their own space because of the brutality and that they get from living in, what was it? I forget the name of the African place, but they claim white people went through things, and this goes back to the apartheid about the farmlands and all that stuff too, where they were, attacking all these white people and raping their women and all this kind of stuff as a way to fight, white nationalism in what they thought was white nationalism in Africa. And this, what it looks like is going on in Hawaii. There's Oahu is loaded with white people. You see a little bit of Asian people here and there. You hardly ever see Hawaiians. You see a Hawaiian dude on a scooter, or you see a Hawaiian dude walking down the highway. You're like, where's he going? There's nothing on this highway. Where he's going? You don't see Hawaiian people till you see homeless people. Then you see Hawaiian people. And what I found out today is that I looked at this one video. Matter of fact, I'll let me play this here a little bit, and then I'll even take you to the video, and I'll go some places. I watch a lot of videos. I'll take you to my history and show you some videos that I've seen. Well, then again, I might. But this one Hawaiian dude, the stuff that he said about how he felt about Oahu. And now this dude lives in Oahu. He loves Oahu. Okay, but he said that the tall buildings and all the buildings made out of brick and stone and glass and all that stuff, he said that's not Hawaii. He said that takes away energy from Hawaii. And I'm thinking, this is the problem with Hawaiian people not wanting to move ahead. Like, you need to evolve. They're kind of like black people here in the mainland. Like, you need to let some things go, and you need to, like, appreciate you were already colonized. That's a done deal. Okay? There's nothing you can do about that. It's too late. You were already colonized, and they got away with it. Okay? Now they're adding big money to your place, and it's a shame. It's almost like another form of slavery, because it's the black people and some Asian people and Asian mixed people. And I remember watching a video where there was a fight between Negro Asians or something like that, Micro Asians or something like that. I forget what it was. But this one Asian girl was mixed. Okay, and she was considered, I guess she might have been half black or something, or half some other race like Indian or something like that. She was mixed with, I don't know, she was mixed with Chinese or Japanese or whatever. And she was on this one video I watched crying and fussing and yelling in the middle of Maui somewhere because she was not treated correctly as a citizen of Hawaii. And Hawaii, is big on segregation. Like, everybody says that. Everybody says that. And so when you watch the people that work in Hawaii, I mean, there are white people working in Hawaii that are like, they work for the city. But you don't see, I could be wrong, because I don't, I'm getting ready to look at a video about these malls in Hawaii, see if they're still open or if all the stores in there are closed or whatever. But the people that work in Hawaii that serve these, and I watched a video where a guy talked about the only jobs available are service jobs in Hawaii. Unless you own your own business, you're an entrepreneur, you're a school teacher, and in the other video I watched with the sovereignty guy, he was saying that teachers have to work two jobs in Hawaii because Hawaii is above everybody's salary. It's above everybody's salary. Nobody makes a decent enough salary You know, and it's like there's not a single apartment. You know, you could live in a slum, and it could be $1,000 a month. You know, it's bad. It's bad what they. It's bad. I mean, as much as I want to move to Oahu, and if the Lord bless me, I will move there. I'm not going to be a part of this segregation. I know that. My goal was to bring people together. I'm not going to be a part of this segregation. I know that. Neither am I going to sit back and act like we're not going to politically stand up. People need to get up and vote. You know, they need to vote against these leaders in Hawaii that are like, that have no respect for the people that live there. They only respect the tourists. They don't respect it's all about tourism, but it's the indigenous people that live there that make the place what it is. They're doing the service. They're doing the work. They're serving the food. They're serving the food. They're doing the sweatshops. They're doing whatever needs to be done to make the tourists happy. And you mean to tell me there isn't an appreciation plan for them? Like, you know, I mean, the homeless. And I didn't think that, like, on an island like, you know, Hawaii. Now, I don't know. I'm getting ready to watch a video about Maui too, but so far I've seen nothing but white people in both about 8 to 10 Oahu videos. And you know, these even a video that was a walkthrough downtown Honolulu. In that video, you saw nothing but white people, even in the square. In the more ghetto, I wouldn't call it ghetto, but more unclean side of Honolulu, you know, there's the square there where they're starting to decline a little bit. Even that was nothing but white people. And, you know, when you actually walk through the square where, you know, people have thrown their garbage on the ground and all like that, because this guy was walking, you see Asian people. You see some Asian men and Asian women walking through. In that, if you see a Hawaiian woman, she's walking like she's trying to get away from everybody. I mean, you know, you see a Hawaiian dude, he's on a scooter or a bicycle, and he's just, you know, flying right past you. You know what I'm saying? The dude that did the interview, the sovereignty religious guy, there was an interview. I should have remembered his name. Oh, his name's right here. It's no, that's not it. I have to look at my history to get you his name. But my man, you know, I wish I could do what these guys do. These guys, like this guy here and the other guy I watch, they got money to go to anywhere in the U.S. Anywhere. They can go to the Middle East. They can go anywhere and record and get to meet the people and all like that, you know. And the one dude, I gotta get his name. I watch him all the time. I'm subscribed to his channel too. He went to like the back roads of West Virginia. He went to the Appalachian Mountains. He went all kinds of places. He went places where you could get shot easily. He went out to places way out in the boondock where there's no police and did videos and got interviews with people. He's in a car with people that are just like, in my opinion, kind of glue. You know, he's lucky he didn't get shot, and they recorded it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's been in some dangerous places, you know. And he got together with these sovereignty guys, and I was shocked. He got together with these sovereignty guys. This guy took him to the park. So, on a walking distance, you know, you don't see this while you're driving through, you know, Honolulu, but in the park, there were Hawaiians hanging out in the park. It's kind of like black folks hanging out in the park in Northside Pittsburgh, you know. and he went to shaking hands and hugging and kissing on these, Hawaiian guys. They have their secret handshake and their hugs, and and if you're Hawaiian and you're of a certain breed of Hawaiian, you're of that religion or whatever their religion is or whatever, he'll kiss you. You get, greet the brethren with a holy kiss. They're very religious, But here we have finding out from this guy. His name is Nick Johnson. Okay? Finding out that the majority of what we call the Big Island, which is Hawaii, which is the name of the state. It's the U.S. state here is Hawaii, and Hawaii is also an island out of the 7 or 8 islands. Okay, it's the biggest island, and it's also the name of the state, Hawaii. Okay, it's supposed to be bigger than all the islands combined, from what I read on Google. But all the towns that this guy went through are all hillbilly towns, and I mean literally white towns, the kind of white towns that we used to have here in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, up out my way. Okay? These white towns out my way are no longer hillbilly. Okay? And most of them are not sundown cities anymore. You can go in there, they've rehabilitated their bars. They made their bars look more urban and all like that. Black people can go, a black dude can take his black girlfriend or his Asian girlfriend or whatever kind of girlfriend you got to this all white bar and listen to some hip hop music sung by a white dude or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You can't judge a town by its look. But in Big Island Hawaii, or how they pronounce that, okay, they can. And he calls them already. This is a white man calling Big Hawaii. He done went through 4 towns and they were all white people. And only people, they even got white homeless people out there, and they got white people strung out on drugs and everything. They've been living there a long time, no doubt. That's not a reason for the town to be hillbilly. The place is Hawaii. All these islands had Hawaiian, Samoan, and Portuguese people on them back in the day. And they're all gone. And I found out today in this one video where the guy was interviewing the sovereign guy, that Hawaiians are leaving Hawaii. Now this guy's saying there's about 100 Hawaiians left in the whole, between 7 or 8 islands. There's about 100 Hawaiians left. I don't think that's counting children, but man, I think he's counting like sovereignty Hawaiians, that ain't mixed. I think they don't have mixed blood in them or something like that. I don't think he means, it's got to be more than that. But let's watch this video. Now, that Hawaiians don't do rodeos. There's only 2 people that do rodeos, and that's Mexicans and white people. Mexicans, I don't know if white people are copying off the Mexicans when they do the rodeo, or the Mexicans are copying off white people. But there's only 2 groups of people that do rodeos, and those are Mexicans and white people. Here we have this going on in Hawaii. Okay, I'm going to let this play a little bit. No, I'm not. I want to go back a little bit. Hold up. I want to go back a little bit. To where he first went to that last hillbilly town. I want you to hear what he said when he went to this one last hillbilly town. I hate when he says that. I think he says makes this comment. Let me see here. Where is it at? It's another town he went to. If I can find it. I don't think this is it, but we'll
So of course we went there. And boy oh boy was this a back road afternoon.
This ain't it. Okay, we'll start here.
This is just a truck. There's like this little community back here where they've got like a market, country store over there, and like my kind of place bar, live music, not today, little cafe thing, dance floor, band stage.
This is that over and over again.
Road in the smallest city in Hawaii, Kalapana, and you just wouldn't even know it was back here unless you took
I think it's right
the
here
right
somewhere.
road. And yep,
Let's start here.
one day that'll all erupt again. Any day now. It was Memorial Day when we were here. Not that volcanoes are patriotic or anything. Having a drink, watching the volcano smoke, like a real man should. And no sports on here, mister. It was ukulele hula music at this joint. So I talked to that lady that runs that gift shop up here, and she said, you wouldn't believe the questions people ask when they come up here. Like, can you turn on the switch to make the volcano go? Or, is this a replica volcano? I know, regular Americans. So sad. Alright, so here we are on the morning of day 4 out here in Volcano Land. And it's a gray, misty, rainforesty type day. And I'm a little sluggish today. It's the 4th day on the Big Island. Kim and I really, the place has a jacuzzi kind of tucked away in the rainforest area, and we got after it last night. I'm a little sluggish today, but I wanted to show you how interesting.
I did not see that. We went to that one town, and most of the people that were inside were white, but they allowed the people to come and do Hawaiian music for them at the bar or whatever, outside the bar or whatever. Okay, that's different. I didn't see that earlier. I did not see that. So that, but then again, I want to show you where he went. There's a bar he went to. I want you to just see this bar that he went to. And there's a bar he went to. And I want you to see it. If I can find it. I think this is it right here. Yeah, this is it right here. Okay, let me turn this on.
Style houses. Now I don't know much about architecture, so I'll have to take people's word for it. night out in Hilo was actually really fun. We found some dive bars. It was the first time in Hawaii that I felt like I was in my comfort zone. No fancy resorts, upscale breweries. Just a whole downtown of regular people doing regular people things.
As you can see, everybody here is white. Okay? And they probably all live in that town. Okay? As much as I love white people. Okay? I don't love you here in this state, because the name of the state is Hawaii or Hawaii or Hawaii, or however the Hawaiians actually say it. They don't call it Hawaii. They call it Hawaii or something like that in their language. But I don't like how they mass take over. Like, that bothers me. Like, everybody here is white. And I don't know if they're the ones that are segregating after all the Hawaiians have been through, and the way they're homeless and all these different things. I don't know if they're the ones that are segregating, or if, the Hawaiians don't want to be around white people, and the Asian people don't want to be around white people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know, maybe all the white people came because there's a white dude playing this country/folk music or something like that, but on other nights of the week, there's Asians there, there's Hawaiians there. Maybe it's him, the kind of music he's playing, why certain people didn't come. I don't know. And I don't think they can actually keep the indigenous people out of any place, but this looks very segregated to me. It disturbs me, it really does. So that's one place. And he kept saying this throughout the videos. He went into, like, I don't know how many towns, and he would say, this is my kind of town, a bunch of hillbilly people make me feel at home, And it's killing me, man. It's killing me. But let's go back to the rodeo. Okay, where's the rodeo at? Where's the rodeo at? Here it is.
This is where some of the original people lived when they made their way to this island from Polynesia. It's where they grew their crops and prayed to their gods and all that stuff. It's very special, it's very sacred. So I didn't want to fly the drone over it, I was trying to be respectful. But down in that valley back there is a really magical place where the native Hawaiians did special things. Waipio Valley. And then on the last morning here, so we were on our way out of the valley, and we turned a corner, and I kept seeing horses and cowboys and buckaroos walking around. Wait, is there a rodeo here? There was a rodeo. You know how much I like me a damn rodeo. I told Kim stop the damn car, hopped out. Turns out the county rodeo was in town. I didn't even know about it. And boy, what a great way to end this video. We got a rodeo! Working with a sexy.
Okay.
Make an accidental turn and there you go.
That was a black girl there, unless she was Hawaiian or something else. But that was a black girl there.
On a rodeo. You guys know I'm a sucker for rodeos. Just.
Okay, let's look at this crowd. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if we can look at this crowd. Most of the people in this crowd are white. And I know some of y'all thinking, why do you care? Well, I care because it's Hawaii. It's not a white place. It's not a white state. And I knew that the Hawaiians were complaining, but I always thought that they should shut up and grow a pair. You know what I'm saying? Because, none of these Hawaiians want to work for white people. Okay, they don't want to work for white people. They don't want to work next to white people. So if these white people are colonizing again all over again, you know, the white people are just as bad, and so are the Hawaiian. The white people are just as bad as the Hawaiians are. You know, the Hawaiians, ever since I've known, since I've started watching videos, this goes all the way back to 2013 and beyond. Ever since, you know, I've been watching social media, Hawaiians don't like having to share their land, what they call their land, with other people, mainly white people. Now, they think black people are in the same boat that they're in. They think Spanish people are in the same boat they're in. So they might get along with black people and Spanish people as long as it's not on a certain island or on a certain part of an island. And then it's like, oh, you're not allowed. This is for like the pure blood Hawaiians, you know, or whatever, you know, pure blood Samoans up in here or whatever, you know. I mean, you know. And the guy was real friendly. He was real spiritual. I mean, maybe he was a Christian. He just practices Christianity in a way, but you know, I ain't used to. But he never. But he was. But when he would worship God and blow his little horn and that, he was blowing this little seashell over all the places, like putting his blessing all over the places, and it was like more like witchcraft to me, because he would put his blessing over the place because he felt that they weren't respecting it as sovereign Hawaiian territory. And I don't know how they feel about the island of Hawaii, it being the largest, but this guy living in Oahu, and nobody ever sees him until he did this interview. He was blowing that little seashell thing over everywhere where he said, well, they don't understand what Hawaii is all about. They don't understand what Oahu is all about, you know. So, you know, but this disturbs me a little bit. Like, you know, I don't want to go to, I struggle here in Pittsburgh. I struggle, and I live around a lot of white people, and I don't have a problem with that. Out here, I'd rather live around white people than to live around all these foreigners. I'm going to tell you right now, and be honest with you. I'd rather live around predominantly white when it comes to living in Pittsburgh than to live around predominantly black or predominantly Indian, Spanish, or anything else, because people are dirty. They don't clean up after themselves. They don't, you know, they're very segregated, whereas white people out here are very friendly when it comes to being outside of a vehicle. But when it comes in a vehicle, they'll run your butt over. But when they're outside the vehicle, they're very friendly out here in my way, out here where I live. Okay. But white people are very friendly, and they're the only people that have a conversation with you without trying to act like, you know. I mean, it's really, you know, but out here, this is not Pittsburgh, though. This is not Pennsylvania. This is not even, like, almost, this is not even really America. This is like, basically like Guam. It's a part of America. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, you know, when was the last time Trump visited Hawaii? When was the last time anybody in the White House went? I mean, can they afford to get on a, you know, U.S. plane from the White House and go visit Hawaii and try to get people to vote? Maybe if Trump had went over there and let the people, at least this time, I think he did go to Hawaii in his first term for a minute, but he's never said anything else about it. But wouldn't it be nice if Trump went to Hawaii and got people to vote for him? And so what I did love about the Hawaiian dude is he felt that, you know, at one time, going back to like his father's history, the Democrats were a good political stance back in the day, but then they went the other way, and now the Republicans, you know, have had more mercy on Hawaii than the Democrats. That's what he said. So he's like in between two sides of politics. But I do believe that if Trump offered to like look into the crisis in Hawaii, I believe a lot of Hawaiians would vote for him, and I believe a certain demographic of white people would vote for him in Hawaii. I believe that, you know. But he didn't go to Hawaii during this campaign. He didn't go over there at all, I don't think. You can tell me. I can look it up, but he didn't go over there.
Northern shores of Hawaii on Memorial Day. Just a perfect end to this day up here. Just local Hawaiian folks up in cowboy country doing cowboy shit. I'll tell you what, for all the hype about Honolulu and Maui and the beaches of Kauai, I think the Big Island's my favorite of them all. Folks are regular here. They're normal. This side of Hawaii,
okay, hold up.
Big, green, lush, rocky, funky.
So people are normal because they are honky-tonk people? They're normal because they're hillbillies? They're normal because why? They do things that we only do here in the mainland. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's supposed to be different. You ain't supposed to go to frickin' Hawaii looking to go to a rodeo. That's fine if you got enough white people to put something like that together, but that's not the whole purpose of going to Hawaii. You're going to Hawaii to blend in as well as your vacation and live your life. You're going to blend in with the indigenous people of Hawaii. You want to wake up in the morning. You don't want to see people that look like you. You want to see Hawaiians and Asians and all the people that have made Hawaii what it is for years before tourism went out of control and people couldn't afford to live there no more and all like that. That's what you're coming there to see. You're not coming there to say, oh, well, you know, if I come to Hawaii, there's a neighborhood I can move into that's pro-white. Don't none of these brown-skinned people come around. You know, that's not what you're there for, you know? And I like this guy. I don't think he's racist. But I think, you know, I think he should be careful what he says, you know.
Funky weirdo land. And I say that as a fan. It's wonderfully flawed and random and just so different. Feels like nowhere I've ever been. Now, could I live here? Not permanently. I guess if I had a means to come for a month every now and then, it wouldn't get old. But it sure is fascinating for a dispatch. The next 3 days on this island would be our last 3 days in Hawaii. On day 5, we crossed over the volcano land and over to the west side of the Big Island. And wait till you see what we saw there. Are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting, that's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. And I can also help you find your new house, too. Email me and I'll work with you on not just helping you figure out where to move, but I can help you find your perfect home, too. That's right. I know awesome, reliable agents all over...
Okay. I did look into his consulting, and I'm going to actually send him an email and everything, check out his email address. And all like that. I'm going to try and see. You know, I have a question for him. What would it cost a regular guy like me? What is the advice you have for me, somebody that's a regular guy like me wanting to move to Oahu? But as far as what I've seen, it's only Oahu. I don't even consider none of the other islands Hawaii. It's only Oahu to me because Oahu is urban and it's also pro-white. But yet it's urban, but it's also pro-white. Okay? But, you know, as far as, like, if you get on a local bus, you will see maybe Hawaiian people and Asian people. If you decide to say, one day you leave your car parked at the vacation spot or whatever and get on one of them local buses, and ride that across town, you will see black people, maybe a couple Hawaiian people on a bus, and a lot of Asian people, but I just think it's ridiculous what's going on here. I mean, here is another case of white takeover, and you might not call it that, but what do you call it? Now, I will admit, I'll be the first to admit, that if it wasn't for this white takeover, where would the Hawaiians be? Because it's just like the Native Americans. What was they going to do with 50 states? What were they going to do with 50 states? Just be stuck in this corner over here and then say, don't go in that corner over there because that's our property too. But you ain't inhabiting the place. You ain't doing nothing over there. You ain't putting no buildings or property or even growing plants over there, but you want to claim it's your territory. Well, wait a minute. What happened to the 50 states that used to be, what happened to the land that used to be Native American? It's loaded with buildings and bridges and infrastructures and all that stuff now. Okay? What would it have been if it wasn't given to, if the Native Americans didn't lose it to the whites? What would it have been? And I feel the same about that here, but at the same time, it's still unfair. Like, it's one thing if you, let's say all the white people took over the big island, like Hawaii, okay? They took over that island, and they had their little hillbilly towns in that island. That's where all the white people that run, but the white people that lived in Oahu, they were just people that were running real estate and, holding open hotels and all like that. Now, thank God, the most expensive hotel, and not only that one hotel, but some of the other properties, and I think it's in Maui. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's in Oahu or Maui, but he owns one of the most. I think it would be Oahu, because I think I seen his hotel in the driving video. He owns the most expensive hotel, and he owns some other real estate around that, near that hotel. And that's, what's his first name? Kirosaki. I forget his first name. Is it Jason or Nathan? I think it's Nathan Kirosaki. David Kirosaki. I forget what his first name is, but he's an Asian dude, Kirosaki. He was a big trainer in the Amway administration. And that's the way I found him. I found out that he was independent of Amway. He's just one of their trainers. He's the one that created like the 5 plan of success and stuff like that. I love to listen to him, and I also love to listen to Byron Goldman, who's a black man. They're both rich, and they both are good at teaching you how to handle money, so that you can do something like live in a place like this. But I want to go to my history, and just real quickly, I want you to hear this interview with this sovereign Hawaiian dude. He says some things that I agree with, but he says a lot of things I don't agree with. And I think that, if Hawaiians leaving Hawaii, you should have never done that. You should have done what you needed to do. Go work for the white man. Go work for the white man, make your money. You can't do nothing without money. You don't leave. You stay there and do what you got to do. Go ahead and work for the white man and make that money, and save that money up and go to court and fight things. You don't just leave. It's your ancestors, own that land. You don't just leave like that, and that's where you copped out. You're not in the fight anymore. You lost because you left. You should have stayed there and did what you had to do to keep your feet on your own ground, and then take some of that money and try to form a protest and call the president to come visit and say, help us out, Mr. President. This isn't fair. I would have. That's what I would have did. But in 2025, that's what I would have did. 26. But I don't know. When I was young, I wouldn't have thought like that. But I think like that now. But in my history, let me go here. Want to go to the one with, I'll tell you what his name is. We're getting it. Here it is right here. This one right here. His name is Peter Santinello. Peter Santinello. I like him. I'm subscribed to his channel as well. And I just subscribed to this guy's channel. Sometimes I wonder where he's at. Like, he sounds racist sometimes in the things that he say. But then he also gives praise to the Hawaiian people for what they did do. That can't be erased, but everything that can be erased, he's just like, woohoo! Yeah, that's my kind of place. You know. Let me go here. Let me click on this and take you back. It's going to start from the beginning. We'll just watch it from the beginning.
Hey,
sorry about the commercials. I had to give my premium a break. Okay.
It comes right out of the hills, right into the high rises. Oh, what's this? Just a basic home in between 850,000 to about $1 million. The famous Waikiki. The famous Waikiki. Oh, Lord, come, boys, come. Have a little bit of a prayer for us, gentlemen. What's it in 150 years? There is no Hawaii if there's no Hawaiians. Pan fry this and some beef lard. Oh, we're going way up. Way up. Get this. Special. But everything has its place. You struggle with it maybe a little bit. Yeah, you know, every Hawaiian does. You're going to hit it all today, right? I'm going to hit it all today. You're the local expert. Hey, Paul, you know, I try to do my best. You are. Hey, I look far, wide, and deep. I came up with you. Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. Woo!
Let's see here.
An ecosystem that helps to actually influence people's behaviors, personalities, and mana. And that elixir you gave me. Yes, the pure mana is working. I feel something. Okay, so it comes right out of the hills. Yes. Right into the high rises. And it begins the full experience of Honolulu. Are you a fan of Honolulu? What are your thoughts? I grew up in Honolulu, you know. I do think it's an eyesore, and if in any way have a little bit of a rewind of history, I do think it would have been good to have limits on how high to build. Okay. Because it ruins everything in terms of our view of things with the ocean and the mountain. It just interrupts energy. It also makes sense economically, which is not an excuse, but the space of our land is limited, so you gotta build up. Yeah. In its current state, I guess it has its place. I just hope it doesn't go to other islands. And so the people in the Hawaiian community are pushing to keep all of this high-rise development only on Oahu. Okay, yeah, this is the old, well, I guess there's some tall buildings on Maui. There's a couple. But not like here. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And so today we're going to talk a lot about Hawaii without Hawaiians. Yes. Because a lot of Hawaiians are moving off the islands. Yes. Or do you mean the culture is going away? Or what are your thoughts on that? Yeah, so it could be good to play a little bit of a game today on how much Hawaiians can you spot out. Okay. On how much Hawaiians you can spot out, because the truth of the matter is our people in our community have seen a big increase in how much Hawaiians are in the process of moving out of Hawaii, and as a matter of fact has a higher population of Hawaiians who live outside of Hawaii in comparison to all the Kanaka Maoli who live in Hawaii. I met a lot in Las Vegas. A lot of Hawaiians living in Las Vegas, about 100,000. That's an interesting connection, huh? Yeah. You wouldn't think they'd go to the desert, being around all this greenery. Right? It's an opportunity thing. I did hear, I'm not too sure if it's fully confirmed, but I did hear a story about in the beginning of the construction of Las Vegas, a lot of the whole construction crews had partnered with all the unions here to have Hawaiians to head up there and to work. And they just stayed. Okay, I asked you this one off camera, but I got to get it on camera. I've asked it all over the islands. I've been here for roughly 3 weeks. Yes.
ethnically, what is a Hawaiian?
Okay, so ethnically, okay, it's the key terms, and so being a Hawaiian is not an ethnicity, it's actually a nationality, as American is a nationality.
Okay.
So in other words, a person is able to be Italian, American.
Yeah.
Italian being the ethnicity, and American being a nationality. And Italian or Portuguese, which a lot of Portuguese in Hawaii because of immigration, in the time of the Hawaiian Kingdom, all the Portuguese who were living in Hawaii had also been Hawaiian, because Hawaiian is actually not an ethnicity, again, it's a nationality. So ethnically, it's actually Kanaka Maoli is the ethnicity. And being Kanaka Maoli,
Like Maori
of
New Zealand.
Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah. To put a pause break, this is in this beautiful high school of Roosevelt High School. Oh, my dad and my uncle and everybody came to visit. But
that tree.
probably the most influential person that came out of like here in current days, Bruno Mars. So he went to Roosevelt. So being an Aboriginal Hawaiian means that you as an individual are able to link who you come from to the earliest inhabitants of Hawaii, which actually go back to around 850 AD, had earlier inhabitants of Hawaii. Each of the Mu people who came out of the islands of the Marquesas had been in Hawaii anywhere between 300 and 600 AD.
Okay, so you need a percentage of that, but in 2024 there are like a few thousand full Hawaiians. So
Yeah.
full blood, but most people are a mix, right?
Mix, yes. Because of huge immigration to Hawaii, a lot of our people just interbred and mixed the bloodlines.
Portuguese,
Has Portuguese,
Filipino, Japanese, Chinese.
yes, all mixed, yeah. Has plenty Asians here in Hawaii. So in the time of the Hawaiian Kingdom,
let's go
everybody who
to-
was living in the Hawaiian Kingdom had an opportunity to become a Hawaiian. Even if you had originated from England, America, all of the American missionaries who came to Hawaii to preach the gospel 100 years ago,
It's just like some taro fields over there, and a couple houses.
abundance, about 150 years ago, guys, this is completely empty. All aspects of Honolulu in terms of our streams, our ecosystems intact.
Yeah.
But a huge cost to that is because of population change. Once people started to see Hawaii is a prized possession, a pearl of the Pacific, as for opportunists who see Hawaii in this way, it's the reason why there is this introduction of plantations, huge introduction into, it's a new style of plantations and tourism. It puts our people into boxes, but all based on a premise of basically an exploitation of our resources for just enjoyment. So everything for people around the world see Hawaii as being a place of kind of like an amusement park. When I heard a tita of mine in Maui say, how would it feel to have to work a couple jobs in tourism to actually uplift and bring peace and enjoyment to other people, while at the same time it brings hell in your own life? Because that this kind of stuff is making a big impact in a negative way on Hawaii, but you still gotta pay your bills.
Okay, I'm not going to push back because all your points are very valid, right? I totally understand what you're saying.
Please.
Take any beautiful place right now. I lived in Lake Tahoe,
And
California.
just Hawaii.
Worked 2 jobs. I wanted to live at the lake. There's no as buying a home there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I moved down to Reno, Nevada, and everyone was like, oh, your life just went to you're moving to Reno. Sucks for you. And they all came down about 10 years later.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I can't afford it up here anymore.
Yes.
Right? So I think there's this, the world, or let's just say the United States, for example, started with not many people, multiplication over the decades. Even in our parents' generation, the boomers could go to these places like Lake Tahoe or Aspen or here and they weren't crowded. They weren't really. They were found, but it wasn't like the masses hadn't gone there yet. And now it's turning more into a supply.
Prime example is the Philippines. Okay. The Philippines were one country before they got colonized by Spain. Spain started to water down. A lot of Spanish people moved out and moved back to their native countries after their native countries began to accelerate. Okay. And some of them moved into America. Then, you know, other kings and leaders of the Philippines took over. The Philippines, right now as we speak, claiming to be one of the cheapest places. A lot of white men are going over there and retiring in the Philippines, you know, with a Filipina, a beautiful Filipina that's like 30 years younger than him. Okay, this is big in the Philippines. And they think they're now, what the Philippines is doing differently than what the Hawaiian attitude is the Philippines are trying to be like America. Even though it would be cheaper to go to the BGC than to go to Monroeville Mall or to go to, I don't know, you go to the Mall of Asia, okay, it's going to be cheaper probably than going to King of Prussia Mall or the biggest, or the mall over there in Dubai, the Mall of the World or whatever. It's going to be cheaper, okay? But it's still, even though it's cheaper, you got just as many homeless people in the Philippines as you do in, you know, big, in Hawaii, where there was more homeless people in Hawaii than there was in Oahu, okay? But you got a lot of homeless people in there, and just like Hawaii and other parts, you know, in islands of Hawaii, people are robbing people and doing stuff like that. Crime has an increase and a decrease and goes back to increasing and then decreasing. It's not as bad as it is in a third world country, but nevertheless, just like a third world country, you got people living in places that are nothing but homeless people, and you got homeless people going out there causing crime, because how else they going to feed themselves? Okay? His Hawaiian attitude, I'm closing. I'm going to show you one more clip of when he blows that horn again. I'm going to show you two clips of him blowing that horn and another one he blows it in the park. But the average Hawaiian attitude is that they would have been better off as a third world country. It's not that, you know, now I gotta admit, when America started building, you know, and there was a video that I just watched about an hour ago or less that just explained all this, what's going on in Hawaii. It's all about people that aren't even living in Hawaii buying property in Hawaii. And they don't even live there. You got real estate agents that don't even step foot in Hawaii buying property in Hawaii. And, you know, you can move anybody in there. You can move a terrorist group in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. But, you know, there's a shortage of homes. And he said that there's all kinds of reasons. There's not only pressure on the locals, but there's pressure on the real estate agents. There's pressure on the people that work the hotels and the people doing real estate in Hawaii. And everybody's under pressure. Everybody's under pressure to import food and sugar and grains, and they're under pressure to you know, sort out all the people that need homes and all like that. It's not just the pressure of the people that live there, but it's the pressure of the rich people as well. The people that are trying to run everything, is pressure on them too, because that's the kind of place it is. Now, I will agree that has no excuse for Hawaii being ridiculous. This guy showed a video where he had 4 things in his shopping cart, and it cost him $75. He had a pineapple, a bottle of like some kind of salad dressing, and he had a package of meat and something else. He had 4 items in a shopping cart. $75. $75. And I might spend $75 a week with my single behind, especially if I'm eating right. If I'm eating more vegetables and meat and all like that, you know, I may spend $75 for the whole week, but that was $75 just for one little evening in a hotel that they were staying in. For them to cook inside the hotel instead of going out. I mean, this is ridiculous. You know. And then, you know, like, you can't afford a home, so you live in an apartment. The average apartment, if you live in a decent one, it's $5,000. If you live in a ghetto-fied apartment, it's $2,000. $2,000 and some a month. Okay? I mean, the highest beautiful apartment here in the place of Pittsburgh where I live, the highest apartment is $800 a month plus utilities. Okay, for some places. There's a place right over here, not too far from me, in a town called Castle Shannon, and they probably got 5 black people in the whole place, and the black people love it there. But the place costs $800 a month plus whatever utilities are to live there. $800 a month plus taxes and utilities. Okay. But the people have good jobs and they can afford it. Now you go downtown Pittsburgh, it's highway robbery what hotels cost down there. The most expensive hotel downtown Pittsburgh, and that's because it's downtown Pittsburgh, which is turning into a slum in my opinion. They need to lower the prices since they can't clean up the town. They need to clean up the town and then go back to charging prices. But the town looks like a ghetto now. It's not what it used to be back in the 80s. It's turning into a ghetto. They need to lower the prices. People, I don't even know why rich people live down there, but in a very nice hotel, they got housing on one corner, and then they got the expensive hotel on the following corner. Both on Liberty Avenue, you know. The expensive hotel costs, the highest price downtown is $1,500 a month. $1,500. They have $1,000 a month, and they have $1,500. I think the Clark building, it used to be an office building, but now it's an apartment complex, a condo apartment complex. It's $1,500 a month to live in there, I think. Well, no. Yeah, that's the one that's $1,000 a month. The one out on Boulevard of the Allies is behind the cheaper hotel. Behind a hotel, there's one right behind a hotel. It has its own driveway and that. It costs $1,500 a month. And what's bad about it, these people have no place to park. They got to park their car anywhere in town and then walk the rest of the way to get to their hotel. Now, if they, depending on what time they get home or leave in the morning, they can park their car on the street. But, you know, they got to go and check and see if they can park there, and then and there's only one side of the street they can park on, and it's a short street. It's an alleyway, actually. And a lot of women have gotten raped back there and everything else. But this is a $1,500 a month condo that, you know, that these people are living in. And there's crime back there and everything else. So, you know, it's not just here, but it's everywhere. But here, I think, for the sake of the people, I think they should talk to Trump. I really do. I think they should call on Trump and have Trump charge tariffs over here or something to make these people bring their prices down. You know, the locals, the people that are serving these tourists and that, they shouldn't have to go through this. Now, the thing is, this guy right here, this Hawaiian dude, he's not going to change. As long as the majority of Hawaii is going to be white people, he'll never ever stop complaining about what's going on. Because truth of the matter is, he's not trying to blend in with white people. Even if the even if the prices were to go down, he's not trying to blend. He feels that Hawaii belongs to, and that's not what he's saying to him. He's saying it in a silent way without coming right out and saying it. But what he really means is Hawaii belongs to the indigenous people of full-blood sovereignty Hawaiians. But that's not going to happen. So now he has a good job. And later on in the video, he takes him to a place where a guy, and another thing that these guys do, they will sell to white people, but they won't buy off of white people. Unless it's like a restaurant where they got white people serving Hawaiian food or something like that, you know, or unless it's just like a food truck or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like really nice fancy restaurants and all like that, they will not let they will not eat white, you know, they won't. I mean, they might eat at a restaurant or something on a holiday or something like that, but most of the time they don't even want to do that. They cook their own food. They live out in the jungle and they make their own food. They have their own chickens and their own other animals, farm animals, and they make their own food. They really don't like fellowshipping at all with white people. However, they'll sell to white people, but they won't buy from white people. Okay? They'll sell to white people. You know, and to me, that's two sides. You got white people taking over, getting all hillbilly with, you know, taking over whole towns in the Big Island. They have most of the real estate on their end and all like that. And then you got Hawaiian people also not wanting to, you know, and there's a huge cold segregation going on in Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? There's a huge cold segregation. And black people are the only ones that ain't segregated. Black people know that, you know, because there's not that many black people, you know, in Hawaii that are like clean black people that ain't, you know, trying to, you know, dip and jive or whatever, you know, trying to jive, okay? But the good black people will blend in with white people, and they will blend in with Hawaiians. However, Hawaiians will blend in with black people to a certain extent. I'm going to show you that. But they won't blend in with white people except for an interview like this. He says, oh, we welcome everybody. Yeah, you welcome this guy to your island, but if a white man invites you somewhere, you're not going to go. You want him to see your culture and see how you do things and support what you do, but you will not support what he does as a white man. You will not do it. So it goes both ways is my point I'm making. Let me close with this video where he takes him to the park. I want you to see that. Where he takes him to the park. Is it here? Is this the end of it, or is it? Let me see here. Was it after this? I think this was the end here. Yeah, that's the end. He took him to the park. I gotta find that. Here it is here. Here it is. He takes him to the park. And I want you to hear this too. He says some stuff in the car.
Of Hawaiian Kingdom people or just Hawaiians, they kind of pushed to the side and put, you know, into this other category. A lot of our people have lost a little bit of hope of getting involved in the system. But in our day now, a lot of our people are getting back involved in civic engagement.
Well, that's cool because a lot of people in the comments in my videos, you know, a few weeks ago someone said, I don't watch the news anymore, I gave up, it just makes me angry, and I gave up. And a lot of other people are saying, yeah, me too, brother. You know, I want to live away from that world.
Just be free, right?
Free. I like that in many ways. But also the negative side of that is you become complacent and whoever's in power is just doing what they want.
We can walk over here if you want.
So today's video is like this. We're sort of touching on the surface.
Yeah.
But if someone wanted to take this video and go into each one of these topics in depth,
You go deep.
there is so much to this place.
Yeah, but
Right? Like we can't pack it in an hour video or whatever.
yeah, it's hard to encapsulate everything.
Like just the history here is insane.
Yeah, hard to encapsulate.
I didn't know much about the Hawaiian history. I knew the basics like statehood, annexation.
Even as a Kanaka, it's not the easiest, but it's not the easiest on like key parts and fundamentals of part of history and culture that everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
But in its own individual right, it takes a lifetime, only one craft. It can take a lifetime. Ewan mo yun ah. Oh, nakalahayo ako, hayo din ako, pehe may ne. Hayo ako, hayo din. Yes, Kanaka. Oh, para hayo din, para. Yeah, you hayo para hayo din. What's your name, ba?
DJ Mahalo. Follow you.
Oh, ba? What's up, DJ Mahalo? Ba? He's bara Peter, ba?
How you doing? Nice to meet you, Mahala.
Oh, Baras, how you guys doing, Baras? Come, boys, come. Over here, bud. Have a little bit of a prayer for us, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
On each time you hear Hanu, please take a deep breath, and Ha, you can exhale. And each of these
I do not
is all an
understand
expression of our
it.
three principles. Aloha Aina, Aloha Akua, Aloha Kanaka. I'm going to do a little bit of an oli and have a pule around us, and we can go about our day, gentlemen. Can do? Okay, Hanu.
I do know too that in this video and the video that we were just looking at with the hillbilly dude, okay, there's a lot of yoga practiced in Hawaii. Like people, you see signs everywhere, people trying to get you to get into yoga. And there's probably a lot of Tai Chi and stuff like that in Hawaii. Which that stuff's supposed to be Asian, but you know, this all goes on. But like what he's doing here, and you see how the guy right here is holding his hands like this. He's holding his hands like this. That's very religious. That is like the all-seeing eye of Horus, the triangle on the back of the dollar bill. Very religious. Very religious. And it's not Christian. It's not the same thing. It's like white witchcraft, which all witchcraft is evil. But to me, that's like white witchcraft. But I still want to move to Oahu.
Aina. Hanu. Hanu. Inaki no malui kalani. Malue hoy. Ulumaya na ulagay ko na maudahu. O matunoy. Etiakua, Inakua, Naamakua, Nakupuna. We just mahalo you for this beautiful day, for all of these beautiful brothers, for all of their ohana and communities near and far. We mahalo you for adding protection and aloha on them and their ohana, and to keep them on strong in this unreal time of human existence. We thank you, Keakua, for breathing love into them, for breathing peace and unity consciousness into them. And
Now notice, this guy right here and this guy right here in the blue, they gotta be black. They gotta be 100% black. They ain't got no Hawaiian mixed in them, so, you know. But it's like, now they're up over there praying with him. You see they got their hands in their pocket where the two Hawaiian dudes. This guy, now he done went from the back of the dollar bill to like, you know, I think that they do mix their religion with Christianity, and some people are confused. They think what they practice in Christianity is the same thing. It's not. It really isn't. But, I mean, like, he's sitting there as a black man wondering what's going on, and this guy's like, yeah, whatever they're doing, show my respects. But these two brothers here, you can tell they're either all Samoan or Hawaiian. And, you know, the tattoos and that give them away. All these guys, like, they wear upper body tattoos and stuff. He got tattoos all over his legs, and he probably got them all over his chest and back too. But that means something. Them tattoos ain't just, you know. And I bet you any money that a lot of these tattoo parlors are ran by Hawaiians. A lot of these tattoo parlors. That's probably one of the ways that they make money in Oahu is tattoo parlors and stuff like that. I bet you they also sell like vaping and tobacco and stuff like that. Now this guy here, I know he sells. He seems like he's like the leader of like a food and drug food and drug thing. Like at the beginning of the video, I didn't show it, but he gave him one of those oils that with the tube in it. You take it and put it in your mouth. He sells those. And so I'm pretty sure he sells other stuff too. I think he sells produce. He probably got a chain of restaurants in town or whatever, you know what I mean? He might even be married to one woman. He might be practicing polygamy for all I know. But I just wanted you to know. But I just wanted you to see how, just wanted you to see this strange but good comparison right here. He's getting ready to blow that hickey. Now, in my church, we blow the shofar. When we get done worshiping, we blow the shofar. But that seashell thing ain't in the Bible. That's not in the Bible. The shofar is in the Bible. When you get done praying, you blow the shofar. It's called the shofar. They ain't never blow through no big giant. That's a big behind seashell. They ain't blown through no seashell, man,
Abundance of love and relationship in all the people who come across them here in the beautiful land of Waikiki. We pray blessings of Akua upon them and their family in this time. In the beautiful name of Hawaii, we pray. We all say, Eola, 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 no.
I gotta admit, that guy looks like Samson. If I knew what Samson looked like in the Bible, that's what he looks like. He looks like Samson. I mean, he's good, in good shape, and wearing that thing that looked like the tribe of Judah or something. That thing instead of, that thing over him that's like a skirt, but that's part of their religious outfits. You know what I mean? And he got necklace on with all kinds of rocks and signs on it, and then it's real scary. I'd be afraid to be in a car alone with that guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what spirits are coming off from him onto me, but Anyway, I'm gonna close there because I know I'm getting a copyright strike for this. Why do I smell weed coming in my house? Who's smoking weed on my property? Like, I smell weed. Somebody is either my next door neighbor is burning a weed burner over there, or somebody's right next to my door. But hold on a second, man. I smell weed. That smells like a weed burner. That smells like a weed burner. That's really strong. That is really, 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 really strong. That is really, really, really strong. You got that much weed where it's coming through the walls. But anyway, I think my next door neighbor got a weed burner over there, and she getting hot. She was over there screaming and crazy about something over there earlier when I did the first video. Now I smell weed real strong. I don't know. But I'm gonna stop here. This is my thing about moving to Oahu. I don't really care that white people are, have taken over basically and made the town a attraction. I only care about what happens to the locals. I don't care that white people are over there, and you can give credit to the white people for the good that's happened to Hawaii, I don't care. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is two things. Them taking over whole towns and halves of islands or whole islands. And what bothers me is segregation. And the white people are not doing anything about it. They're just making it worse. I also don't care about the military being there. Okay. You're on an island. You're away from the mainland. Something go down on that island. Who's coming to rescue you other than the local police? Terrorists get off the plane in your island and start making homemade guns in a terror cell and start shooting Hawaiians or blowing stuff up. Who's going to step in? Who's going to step in? You're isolated from the mainland. Who's going to step in? See what I'm saying? So, I don't have a problem with the military being there. And, I really don't care about, what he said about the tall buildings. And no. That's why I want to move to Oahu, because Oahu looks like everything that I love about my state, all in one island. I love the tall buildings. I love the clean, the squeaky clean cities, malls, food places. I love the restaurants. The restaurants are like, and if I can really, I hear Hawaiian food is really good if you can get your hands on it. I'm sure there's that. Man, I'm about to knock on some doors. That is really strong. But, why's it got to come in here, But, I know the restaurants are beautiful. It's just a good place to me to retire. But I really don't see nothing wrong with the structure of Honolulu and Waikiki. I think that's where I want to be. Those two places. And Oahu, you don't notice, but Oahu, I just read this on the internet, is like the only urban state in Hawaii. Now, in this video, they were correcting each other on what that is. Now, Hawaii is really one state with a bunch of cities that have different areas and neighborhoods in cities. That's what they are. The islands are basically cities with a bunch of areas. Just like here in Pittsburgh, you have a city, like Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh is big enough where it has a bunch of areas that have their own borough. And some of them, you have to call the borough by its name. You can't just say Pittsburgh, okay, because that won't work out at the mail office, okay? You have to call it by borough because it's its own borough. Also, we have counties that are not Allegheny County that are close enough, and those counties are considered Pittsburgh as well, but they're not Allegheny County. So they're still in the borough of Pittsburgh, even though they're a township or another county, So, I see that in Oahu as well. But on the internet, according to the internet, Hawaii's the state. But what's weird about it is Hawaii is the state, but they're also they're just calling the islands islands. But to the Hawaiian people, as he was saying in the car, and what is his name? The guy that does this video, he agreed with him. It makes more sense. And I know she smokes weed because she smokes weed with my next door neighbor. Now, my next door neighbor has respect enough. If you walk outside this door and see her smoking weed, she'll stop smoking it because she knows that everybody's not into that, and she wants to have respect. But she don't understand the way these places are built. If you got two people out there smoking weed right next to my window, I can smell it. That's how strong weed is, you know. And so everybody's getting free weed by claiming they have depression or something. They're going right down to the dispensary and getting it. They ain't even gotta go. You know, from what I hear though, in Hawaii, you're not allowed to smoke anything. You're not allowed to do any drugs. But on the big island of Hawaii, there's a lot of drugs, as they showed in that video I showed you first, and they're not doing anything about it. Okay? It's kind of like Kensington, Philadelphia. They're a whole city dedicated to drugs. Meanwhile, you ain't supposed to even be smoking weed nowhere on the island. But whatever, you know. But hey, you know, I'm not surprised that that's probably where maybe if no. Because like in the Philippines is considered a third world country. They're not connected to America, and there's drugs out there and all like that. But the thing about drugs and that, you're not going to find people strung out on drugs on the street. They're not going to walk into a bar or be on the street, you know, falling out on the street like, you know, about, you know, 20 minutes from here down the street, right in my old neighborhood before I moved in here, you know. I'd go to the bus stop and people, you know, come up to me, hey, what's up? Boom, you know, fall right over, you know, strung out on the crack or whatever. You know, every day, all the time, somebody laying on the ground, you trying to catch a bus, you got to step over the dude that just passed out on drugs. You call the ambulance, they wake the dude and chew the guy out. You know, you need to put him in rehab. You don't chew him out so he can just come back tomorrow and do it again. You threaten him, you're going to arrest him if you catch him out here again. Okay, he goes home and he comes back out the next day and he does the same thing. Only this time he dies. He killed himself, you know. And you find him dead next time, you know. You should have put him in rehab right then. You should have put cuffs on him and put him in, you know, detox or whatever, you know. But, or you should have put him in the hospital and let them put him on detox and then arrest him right there for practicing drugs and then put him back and then send him home, you know. That way they learn the lesson, you know. And remove any drugs, go in his house and remove any drugs that you might find. And any drugs that he got on him, don't give them back, you know. That's how you clean people up until they get clean, you know. But I really don't care. Like I said, I don't really care about all the specs of how we got to this point. The only thing I see wrong here is the price of Hawaii is it's brutal. It's like torture. And as long as, now they say that Honolulu has declined a little bit since the pandemic, and they say that tourism has kind of slacked down. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Hawaii start losing money, they will start bringing down their prices. Okay? And that's what they need. They need to lose money. They're rich. They're spoiled with money, even though there's a lot of pressure along with that. But, you know, you know. But, you know, what I love is that in Oahu, as well as any other island, mainly Oahu, you have many choices. You don't have to live in Honolulu if there's too much. Plus, Honolulu has a part that's slowly declining, but it has other parts that are more state of the art, you know. And then, you know, you got El Muna and other places in between, Waikiki and Honolulu, that are just beautiful as well. And the whole island, to me, out of all of them, is the most beautiful. I haven't watched my video on Maui yet, driving around Maui, but most of these places on these other islands are more landmass, and I looked that up on the internet too. They're more landmass than they are city mass. But Honolulu, or should I say Oahu, is more city mass than it is land mass. And that's what I love about it. When it comes to islands like this, I love the city. Out here, I like the suburbs. I love the suburbs, and I like small towns, small cities, that kind of thing. But out there, being out in the country would drive me crazy. I have to live near the city. I have to be able to drive 5 miles into the city. I have to be able to bend the corner and be right back in the city, or something like that. I can't live out on a lonely road. The lonely roads in Hawaii are beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I might be able to just walk about 20 feet from my home and get some free avocados and stuff. You know, there's places out there where you can go and just grab free pineapples and whatever. And then there's places where they have signs there just saying no picking. Don't touch the fruit. Don't, you know. But then there's places where you can grab the stuff for free. That's how the homeless people live on these islands. They go out in the jungle and get free bananas, free avocados, free pineapples and stuff like that. You name it, you know. It's a wonderful place. And I'm hoping that sometime before the Lord bless me to live there, things will get better. They'll vote some people out of office and put some better people in office. They'll reassign this whole thing. Or after I get there, you know. But if I get there and things are this bad and I start seeing homeless people everywhere, and I'm seeing more and more people leave Hawaii, and there's starting to be a decline because people are moving out and tourists ain't coming, I don't get into protest, but I will form a protest because this island is so beautiful. Somebody needs to protest. Somebody needs to stand in front of the state building, the county building, whatever, and say, hey, we demand that, you know, relief. And that's what they need to do. I think if you're a resident, if you're going to keep the food and the prices where they are, like this video I watched earlier, if you're going to keep the food and the prices where they are, then you need to have some kind of discount or some kind of privilege for people. You need to privilege the people that live there, the indigenous people that live there. You need to produce some kind of way for them to be able to afford it. Now it's a little hard to go down on everything. You know what I'm saying? But I did see them in the last video. They did go to this one place right outside of, when they did the Honolulu video, they did go to this one place right outside of Honolulu where they sold $1.50 hot dogs on a food truck. I think it was a food truck. They were selling hot dogs for $1.50. Now, to me, that's a reason, because I love to drive. That's a reason for me to drive around the island and keep driving until I see something. Oh, I'll eat that for $1.50. You know what I mean? Oh, I'll eat that for $2. $2 Coke, I'll get that. $2 Zero Coke, I'll get that. You know, since I can't eat out at a fancy restaurant every day, or even afford to go to Arby's every day. I know, you know what I'm saying? I'm wondering how much it costs to go to Arby's. You know, but that's my video, folks. Oahu, pray for me. I really, really want to live there. And I figure if I can just get enough money to buy the property, no mortgage, I will give it a shot. I will I would give it a shot. Whatever kind of way I'm making my money, I would transfer that to Hawaii and see if I can handle it. If I can, I don't care whether the house is, $350,000 or $1 million or whatever. If I can get the money, and I'm getting ready to get into real estate, so if I can get the money or manipulate that price in some kind of way, you know what I'm saying, I'll do it, and I'll pay it straight cash. And if I can pay it straight cash, I will take my chance at landing my boots on the ground in Oahu. And Oahu is the only island that I got my eyes on. The other islands scare me. The other islands, no, I think Oahu, the indigenous people of Hawaii don't even want to live on Oahu. Most of them don't even care about Oahu. But yet Oahu was one of the indigenous islands before all this takeover. If you go back in the day, here in this video, I showed you where he showed a picture of what, Oahu looked like when it was strictly ran by Hawaiians way back in the day of his grandfather, But I know these people want to hold on to those memories, but, take your businesses to another level and share your business with everybody and sell to everybody and get these white people to support you and help you. Get these white people on your side. If you can't beat them, join them, and keep your enemies close. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer, as they say. You know what I'm saying? Like, get in bed with business with these white people. You're already making surfboards, you're already selling produce, you're doing tattoos, whatever, you're running a food chain, a restaurant chain, whatever. Stop running from these white people and trying to isolate yourself from them, and figure out how you can, and get these white people, the ones that live there, get them to help you sit down at a table and talk politically about what needs to be done. And like you shared your story with this brother, he's going to go home and he doesn't live in Hawaii, but you need to get together with the people that live there, and you need to sit down at a table, and you need to get together and bring your business, your issue before the I don't know, the president, that would be the president of the United States. You need to talk with him too. You need to get him to come down and sit down and talk to y'all as well. But, and then the other thing you don't understand is that it's just like Africans selling black people into slavery. It was the kings and queens of Hawaii back in the day that they had kings and queens. It was them that sold their profits and their lands, that whole sugar plantation thing. That was done by the kings and queens. They gave America the permission to do that. He even admitted that, but he's not blaming the king. They worship the king and the queens and put them in high regard and respect. But they want to hate. Basically, to be honest, they want to hate on the white man for what happened next after that. You signed the contract. That part of it they did not force. Maybe you didn't bring in sickness. They made y'all sick and it wiped out so many Hawaiians and all like that. But as far as them taking over land for sugar cane, distribution and stuff like that, that was done by the authority of the kings and queens. They sold that right, and it sold those properties to the white man to do that. So it's really started with them. They're all dead and gone, but it started with them. It started with them. And then there were other people, there were other races, and that came in there, and they didn't care about the Hawaiian people, and they were not white. And they didn't care about the Hawaiian people, but yet they was making a fortune. Not caring about the Hawaiian people, but trying to do infrastructure and that against their will. So, Hawaii has been through a lot. But what I would do today is stop hating and blaming and get together with everybody. Sit down at the big round table and talk about these things. Get the President of the United States in on it. Get him to get in his little fancy plane and bring his military over with him and come over here and sit down and talk about these things. Get all your politicians on the 7 to 8 islands and sit down and talk about this stuff. Get them all in one place to talk about this stuff. And you will see that you can do something. You can do something to, but as far as what Oahu looks like, no, I'm a protest against that. That's place the most beautiful place in the world to me right now. As far as it being urban and free to all and all like that, that's the way I love it. The only thing I hate is that it's so expensive, and that's like brutal. That's like walking into a hospital and they say, hey, we have to punch you, we have to stab you in the appendix, and we have to knock you unconscious and stab you in the appendix before we help you. That's like walking into a town and they say, we have to practice gang initiation and we have to beat you and piss on you and hang you upside down before we allow you to live in this town. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't make sense for things to be that pricey. You know what I'm saying? I mean, now I will admit, in order to keep this place a tourist attraction, you have to be a little bit over the national average, but double to triple, that's way too much. That's brutal, but yet people are willing to do it. And if I could make $350,000 in a couple years, that's where I'm gonna put it. If 600 million or 600,000, or $1 million for a house. And I do believe that there's all kinds of discounts and all kinds of lawyer things that you can do. You can get a lawyer and do things. You can get, if you get in line, you got some connection to real estaters and so you can break them prices in half or bring them down a little bit, depending on who you talk to and how and also if you pay straight cash, that brings down the price a little bit too. Instead of you paying mortgage, you pay straight cash, that brings it down a little bit too. But that's my video. But I think if I was to buy a home in Oahu, I would probably only be there, 4 to 5 months out of the year. I'd probably keep myself a little pad here in the States. And that way, Now, as far as the plane ticket going back and forth, I'm not sure how that goes. I heard that it's so expensive. But other than that, to avoid the cost of the utilities and the cost of buying food at the local supermarket and all like that, I think that I would live in, Oahu, 4, 5, 6 at the most months out of the year. The other 6 or 7 months, I'm on the mainland. I'm in my little cozy, I'm back in Lancaster, Pennsylvania or something like that, where things are cheaper and things are the way I'm used to them being. But, you know, I think I would save money that way instead of living there all year round and spending that much money on food and you know, electricity and all that kind of stuff, and who knows what the gas prices are and all like that. And even if you drive in an electric car in Hawaii, I think Hawaii is one of the places where Elon Musk wants to go and put one of his Tesla factories. I'm not sure. But even if you drive an electric car, it's still going to be pricey. You're going to pay, you know. But a lot of things you can study. There are people that are getting around what it costs to live there. There are people that are getting around those prices. And, you know, they're getting around with coupons, and they're getting around with, you know. And I'll tell you another thing that you can do. I'm closing right here. Another thing you can do, being they have trouble shipping everything to the island anyway. So another thing you can do is like things that are not food that don't have to be kept cold. You can order those things online, and I think you can get wherever, you know, I think you can get the regular price on them and have them shipped to your location in Hawaii. Like if you want to buy something that don't need to be kept cold, like seeds or coffee, or you want to buy supplies like picture frames or ink pens and paper, stationery, you know, Bibles, you know, books or whatever. Instead of getting them in Hawaii at their price, you can get on Amazon and get their price. Now, I don't know if Amazon would charge you more money because your location, where they're shipping it to, I don't know. But I still think, even if they're charging you a little bit more because you're in Hawaii, I think it's still going to be cheaper than what you would pay for those items brand new at the local bookstore or the local Staples or whatever. That's just my opinion. Something I thought about. You know. But Costco, I watched in the one video, the Costco is pretty cheap. So everybody goes to Costco. Now, if I went to Costco, I'd have to get there early in the morning when the place open, or late when the place closes. The lines in that place, that is not America. For Costco, you got to get in line to leave. It's one thing to be in the line, but you got to get in the line to get to the counter, and then you got to get in the line to leave. When I get in a shopping cart line, when I get in a grocery store line, I wait behind probably about 2 to 8 people at the most. The most I've ever waited behind was 8 people. Most of the time I can get past 8 people and break it down to 4 or 2. You know, just keep going out. You can't do that in Oahu. You go to the average supermarket that everybody goes to, you're going to be in that line forever. Then, like at Costco, you got to get in line to leave. You got to get in line to leave the store. I'm like, what's blocking these people from just going out them 2 doors and going in the parking lot? I don't know if there's a security guard there or what's going on to make sure you ain't stealing or what's going on. And then the other thing I hear is that, like here in Pennsylvania, when I do Uber and stuff, I stop at a gas station and go and use the restroom. But it don't seem like there's no Kogos or no Sheets, or not Kogos, GetGo. When I do Uber, I'm always on the road, so I always know. I always turn my GPS to a local Sheets or a local Kogo or a local GetGo. You can't do that. You can't do that in Hawaii. Now I gotta look at it. I didn't see a Giant Eagle. I've seen plenty of Foodlands. They still have Foodland out there. I don't know if they have Giant Eagle. So if they don't have Giant Eagle, they're not going to have GetGo either. And Sheets. I don't think they have Sheets. I'm gonna have to look it up online and see. But at least they got Arby's, because that's my spot. If I can't afford none of the food that is so delicious in some of these restaurants, at least I can go to Arby's, and McDonald's. I go to McDonald's in the morning on a day I don't feel like cooking for myself, and then go to Arby's in the evening. That's what I do. But let me get out of here. I know this video got to be 200 minutes long. Thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this. Let me know if you did. Talk to me about, Hawaii and islands and the cost of living there. If you know anything about it, you can give me some advice. Help me know what I should or should not do. I will listen to your advice because I have no clue. Okay? Thank you. God bless you. Have a great night.